Hello everyone. I again welcome everyone for the Android session, which is today is the last one, and I'll be covering almost all the left all portions which I have thought of. So as I have to cover a lot, so I'll try some shortcut methods as well. But those shortcut methods doesn't mean that I will not complete the topic. But I'll try my best to complete all the topics. So let's start. So I'll start with the first topic, and as you can see here, the first topic for today's class will be going to create a splash screen. Splash screen means you have to understand first. What does it mean? It means you might have seen in many apps. First of all, let me confirm. I hope I am audible or not. Just someone can confirm me. Am I audible? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So let's understand about the splash screen. So you might have played many games and all. So you might have got a feeling that what happens. First of all, the first activity page will open up. I mean, now you're getting my point, like what I'm saying. So first activity page will open up. It will show you some logo and all, something and all, in some animated screen and all. And after some time, automatically it will switch to second page. Okay, maybe there also some kind of thing will be, and automatically it will switch to next page. These automatic movements can be referred as splash screens. Okay, means they are created and they are shown to you one after the other, and then the main page comes up. Okay, so we'll see a very simple splash screen, and I will try my best to show you in the easiest way. So what I have done is I have taken two activity pages, and in both the pages I have just created image views, and in both the image view I have just placed two images. Okay, so in short I'll just show you, just have a look. So if you can see the project already shown here, I'll quickly move to first of all the front end design, and you can see here I have created one image view, and on image view I have kept one image. Okay, you can see here. If you go to the this resource part, and if you try to have a look here, you can see in the drawable part I have kept images. Yes or no? So one of the image I have kept here. Okay, I've just made full screen. You can see the constraint values are, I mean, the margins are having 0 values. So I'm covering the complete screen. So one image I have shown here, and if you go to the backend coding, I have written a small code. Okay, we'll understand about this code. And before understanding this code, what I have done also, I have created one more page. And there also I have done the same thing. I have shown one image. Okay. So what will happen? First of all, we'll get this image. The app will wait for some time. It depends upon us how much time you want to wait. And then what you can do, what will happen automatically without any click and all, nothing you have to do, automatically you will switch to the second diagram. Okay, so let's see how we can do this. And if you think carefully, you can apply this logic in many ways. Okay, I mean, suppose you are going to design some projects, you can suppose you are designing a game, so you can set some rules and regulations, you can show them, and it will be visible to you for some time, and then it will automatically move to the next page. Okay, so these are the things which you can use. I mean, in this way you can use it. So let's see how we can do it. So in order to make you understand this complete code, before that, one important thing which I missed in one class that I would like to elaborate first. I didn't told you anything regarding this manifest file. Okay, so let's understand today. So this manifest file is basically, you can say, it is a place where we put all the permissions. Okay, this you have to keep in mind. So what is the meaning of permissions? Means suppose your app requires the permission for internet, or suppose it requires the permission for something, whatever. Those permission part is managed here. Okay, so this you have to keep in mind. So we'll see how this manifest file has been used in this one. So I'll just open this manifest file and I'll just show you what is actually going on here. So if you look carefully in the manifest file, first of all, the package name is mentioned, and inside the application, everything will be there. Okay. Now, if you look carefully in the application, we have some properties which is present there, like theme, icon, which icon will be shown. So if you want, you can change even the icon. Okay. Like you might have seen, many good apps have very good icons. Okay. But if you see the icons which you have done now, the icons might be that pretty boring one that of which Android has given the default icons. So if you want to change the icon in the drawable, you can keep the icon and you can just place it here. Or the best place will be you place it at this place. Okay. So you can say here we basically put all the icons. Okay. So here you can see by this command, what I can do, I can change the icon of the app. And you might have seen on the app on the top, the app name is also present. So that is actually this part. So if you want to change the app name, you can change from here also. Okay, guys. So these terms are important for you. Okay. Now the most important part is this part. So if you look carefully, if you look at this part, can you observe that there are two activities present here? One is this activity, and one activity, if you can, I'll just take some other color so that it can be easy for me to show you. So if you can see, there is one activity present here, okay? And one activity, this is activity number 2, and this is your activity number 1. So there are two activities present here. Why we have two activities? Because if you remember, this 2 will make me one activity, and this XML file, not this one. I mean, just have it. This and this will form your second page. Okay, guys. So as we have created two activities, so in the manifest file, it is mandatory that you should write all the activity details. Suppose I have created the second page and I have not written this. Okay, suppose I have not written this. So what will happen? You can see the registry for the second page is not done. Okay, now if the registry is not done for the second page, what will happen? Everything will work fine, but when you start loading the second page by calling the function called intent, what will happen? The page will not load up. Why? Because any page will be loaded only when the registration is done inside this manifest file. So writing this command, basically what it does, it registers the framework here. Okay, so any part of the framework, if you try to use, you have to show it here, you have to write it here. Okay, so that is important thing you have to keep in mind. Okay, so what we have done is we have registered our both activities. Okay, now if you have seen everything, can you see one more thing? That is the activity which is the first by default activity, that is the main activity. Inside that there is a small code that is called intent filter. I hope that is visible to everyone. What is this intent filter? Let's understand this. This intent filter basically is a code which helps you to load your app. Okay, means whenever your app, whenever you click on an icon and whenever your app is loading on the smartphone, it will get loaded only based on these two commands. Okay, so let's understand what these two commands are doing. So before understanding this, you all might have got one understanding, that is, if I say one activity page, that is combination of one backend Java page and one front-end XML page. Yes or no, guys? I hope this point is clear to everyone. Means if I am pointing to one activity page, basically I am pointing to a backend code which is written in Java plus a front-end code which is written in XML file. Okay, so combination of these two pages will be referred as activity page. Okay, so if you want some activity page to load, what you have to do is you have to write these two commands. Okay, means what these two commands are doing, these commands are helping the Android app to load the first activity page. Okay, so this will load the Java file. Okay, and this will load the XML file. Means suppose I just remove this file, this command, what will happen? At the back end, the Java file will execute, but on the front end, we will not get the XML file. Or suppose I have used this one and I have not written this one. So what will happen? The reverse will happen. Means the XML file will be loaded, but the backend file will not be loaded. Means we will get the front end, but the backend will not be working. Okay. So you can understand whatever I told you from this, what you are getting actually is, means this manifest file is really very, very important. So this Android Studio, what it is doing, it is managing this manifest file automatically regarding the creation of page. Okay, so you don't have to worry about. You might have seen last time when we created 2-page app, I didn't came to this manifest file to write about the second page. Yes or no? Because this file is, this command actually is entered by the Android Studio automatically here. Okay, so you don't have to come and write here. But if you want to get sure that you can create one more page, what you will see that one more activity file has been created. Okay, so let's practically do and let's practically check it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one more page. So I'll do it a little bit fast. So what I have to do, I have to click on app. Just a second. Then you click on new. Then you go to the activity. You click on the last empty activity. And let's mark it as test file. Okay. So whatever you want. And the front end file will be this activity underscore test file. Okay. Now you just finish it, and you will observe that in the Android manifest file, the entry for that part will be done automatically. So let's move to the Android manifest file and check it out. So can you observe that? Is it created now or not? Just see, guys. So you can see it has been created. So you can see here the test file is created. Okay. So this is your second activity, and this is your third activity. Okay, guys. So you can have as many activities you want. Okay, it's not like that. It is recommended that there will be only 5-6 activities. It's up to you. But the better programmers don't use a lot of activities. They write better code so that on the same activity they can change the data and show it properly. Because whenever you are creating a new activity, it will require memory. And you know, in your smartphone, the memory always lacks. Yes or no? So generally the big game and all, they don't create a lot of activities. They try to use the less memory. Okay. Now let's move to the main activity page, from where we are going to switch to the next page. I mean, if you look here, what we have done is this was by default created. This was our second activity. So what code we have written is, we have written some code here. That code will help me to move from this page to this page. Okay, that much we have done. So let's see how we can do this. So quickly I'll move to the main activity.java file. And if you can see here, I'll show you. So if you can see here properly, a small code is present. So just under the set content view r.layout.activity main, I have called a thread actually. So you might all be aware of what actually the thread is doing. Yes or no? So thread is used for what purpose? It is used to create a next page kind of. Okay, or you can say it can stop, or it can give you an option to run 2 instances of the same thing. Okay, so with this it is helping you to give you a room that, I mean, you can create some other pages. Okay, so if you look carefully, and you all might be knowing one more thing, that is, whenever you are running a thread, what basically happens, the thread is, how the thread is started? The thread is started by the command start. And whenever you call the start command, what basically happens, if a by default command that is called run is getting executed. Okay, now inside this run function, whatever you want, you can write here. Okay, that you have to understand. Okay, so if you can see here, what I have done, I have created a small try catch block, and inside that I have written a small code. Okay, so if you can see properly what actually I have done, And if you try to focus, I have actually called a function that is called sleep function. So what is the use of sleep function? Sleep function, what it does, sleep is a function which helps you to postpone the, the activity for some time. So it helps actually for postponing the complete project, complete activity for some time. Okay. So if you look carefully, what actually will happen is, uh, as soon as this activity, this sleep will start, the activity which you have just started, that will be paused. Okay. Now, for how much time it has to pause, that it's up to you. How much time you will provide here? Provided here 5,000 milliseconds, and it will wait for this much time, and automatically once this command has been executed, it will move to the next command. Okay, and as you can see, I have not written any more command. So, and if there is any exception, so you can see here why I have written this exception clause and all. There is a reason behind. I'll tell you just after 1 minute. So what will happen actually? This sleep, once this sleep function gets executed, it will move directly to the finally block. As you all know that once the try block is executed, and if there is no exception, even if there is an exception also no problem, the finally block will be executed at last. Okay, and if you can see properly, inside the finally block I have called the intent. Okay, and you all are pretty aware that what the intent is actually used for. So with the help of intent, I am able to switch to the second page. Okay, so if I tell you once more, so about the sleep command, let's understand. As you know, what is the sleep command? It is going to pause your activity for, let it be the time which I have given here, that is 5 seconds. Okay. Now, suppose within this 5 seconds, suppose some problem occurs. Some problem occurs, like suppose the memory is very less, very less, and the forcefully I have to close the app. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Means many problem can occur. So you might be aware that why we use try catch. We use try catch in order to protect our code from some kind of exceptions. Like suppose if anything occurs which we are not aware of, which may come and create some problem. So those kind of codes we will write always in the try catch block. Okay. So that's why we have written this. And Android Studio is very you can say it is having a lot of intuitiveness. Means if you write some command, and if those commands are those kind of commands which may create exceptions, it will poke you to create try catch block. Okay, so that is the beauty of Android Studio. You can say like that. So there are many, like suppose if you go for file handling commands also, it will poke you that you have to create try catch block. If you will not create, it will give you errors that you are not allowed to create this function without try catch block. Okay, so this point you have to understand. Okay, so we have written the try catch block, and once this 5-second time is over, what will happen? The OS will move from the suspended state, and it will start executing the next command. And inside the try block, we have just kept one command. Yes or no? So once this time is over, it will switch from try block to the finally block. Okay, because no exception has occurred. Okay. Now in the finally block, as you can see, the first two commands will start a new, will fire an intent, and the second command will launch the intent so that the app can move from first page to the next page. Okay, guys. And what this third command will do, it will, already I told you about this command. This command forces your first activity, like this is your first activity, it forces your first activity to complete the life cycle. Okay, so that it can get destroyed. Okay, that is the job of this finish command here. Okay, guys. So let's see, once the intent is fired, and if you are moving to the second page, we have not written any code there. You can see here. If you observe carefully, we have not written any code because our intention was just to come to the next page. And in the next page, why I have not written any code? Because I have just created the front end design, and there I have directly kept the image. Okay. So I don't have to write any backend code. Okay. So if you have understood this part, you might have understood that what will happen actually, your app will come up, you will get this image, it will wait for 5 seconds, automatically it will switch to the next image. Okay. So let's practically check it whether whatever I have said is actually happening or not. Okay. So let's see, guys. So now I'll quickly run the project. Okay. And I'll switch my screen to the mobile and I'll show you there. So just wait a bit, the Gradle is running. So once the Gradle has executed itself, it will load the project. So once the installation starts, I'll switch. So I hope my screen is visible to everyone. So still installation is going on. Let's wait for some time. And as soon as the installation is over, you will be able to see the next page. You will be able to see the app where the first image will come up and it will wait for 5 seconds and it can then switch to the next app. It completely depends upon how much time it will take. I cannot guarantee also. So I have to wait a bit only. I can see still installing in my laptop. We'll wait a bit. Just a second, guys. Let me see. Some issue has come up. The app didn't start. Okay. Let me just run the app and let's see. Okay, now it has executed. I'll just show you. So I hope the screen is visible to everyone. So if you observe carefully, the first image is there and now it has time up and now it's moving to the next image. What the guys? So as per the time you will set, it will take that time and then it will switch to the second page automatically. I have not touched anything. Okay. And if I try to move back, what will happen? The app will get closed. The reason is the first page I was finished, means I have used the command finish. That's why the first page is not present here. It has already, that activity has already destroyed. Okay. Now let's move to the next project and let's see how we can do it. Okay. So now I'm switching to my laptop and let's move on to the next project. So the next project is, so let's see how we can create a small app and we can use camera. Okay. So this camera is again very, very important. If you want to use camera, let's see what kind of code I will have to write. Okay. So again, this is very simple. I'll quickly, as I told you, I have many projects to show. So I'll show it in a very easy way. I'll directly try to load it and show you. Okay. In this way, I'll be able to make you understand also, and it will take some less time so that I can show you all the important concepts as well. And by the end of the class, I will also give you some good projects, and it will be good that if you can try those projects, because whatever learning you have done, and if that learning ends with a good project, that is always good. Okay. So let me first of all close the last project because that is always a good habit. Okay. Let's open the. Okay. So this is your project, which is where I have used. You can see here. Here I am trying just to show you that how I can use a concept that is called implicit intent. This I was not able to teach you while I was telling you about intents. So there is a topic, there is a type of intent, and that is called implicit intent. Implicit intent means, suppose there are many you can say activities which are already predefined inside your smartphone. Okay, predefined activities. So suppose your app is trying to use that pre-created intents, then you can say it is called implicit intent. It's using the concept of implicit intent. Okay, and if you have your own, you have created your own activity pages and you are explicitly opening this one only, so this is called explicit intent. Okay, so let's see how we can do it. As it is intent though, so one thing is sure, that I'll be using the command intent somewhere. Okay, so in the front end, what I have done, in the front end, as you can see here, I have taken one image view. Okay, as you can see, it's visible to everyone, and I have taken one more button and I have marked it as capture. So what will happen, as soon as I will press this button, what will happen, it will fire an intent, and it will call the camera property. Okay, and with the help of that, it will be able to open the camera. Okay, and in that, it will be having some anchor view where you will be able, where you will get an option to click and capture the image. Okay, and as soon as you capture the image, that image will be brought to the image view. What the point? So let's see how we can do this. I will repeat once more what I said. I have taken one image view and I've taken a button. So when you will click this button, we will be firing a implicit intent, which will open up the camera, and there you will find the anchor view, and on which you will find the button. And if you click that button, whatever was visible in the camera, that will be captured, and that will be brought back to our image view. Okay, so let's see how we can do this. It's again a small piece of code which will help you to do this. And let's move to the backend code. So all of you, if you remember, our front-end design contained two things. One was image view, and if you can see here, the image view is already constrained. No errors will be there in that case. And if you look at the button is having some functions. It might be having yes or no, because on click, it has to, we have to click and use it, yes or no. So it might be containing some functions, and if you can see here, the function here is capture. I can see it from here also. Or if you want to search, you can search here somewhere. You will get the functions. Okay. So once you select the button, you will get the function on click here as capture. Okay. So let's move to the backend code and let's see how we have done it. So if you can observe carefully, I have first of all created one variable for my image view, and I have created the function capture, as you can see. Yes or no? So I have created the function capture. Inside capture, something is written. Just for timing, you forget what is written. Let's follow that basic method which we used to follow. That is, whatever components you have created, you will first of all do the first three basic steps. That is variable creation. Okay. Second one is linking, and third one is use. Okay. So this here we have done the variable creation. Here we have done the linking, and in order to use the button, I have created a function here. Okay. And somewhere I'll be calling iv dot. So by calling iv dot, I'm actually using it. Okay. So let's see how we have used. So almost all part of the code, almost the code which you will find here will be present inside the capture, and one more special function is present here that we'll see. So if you look carefully, what I have done, as soon as the button is pressed, I am calling the function intent. Okay, and this time, what we used to write in intent, we used to write the starting address. I mean, where we are. Yes or no? I hope you remember, guys, the starting address. And we used to call the destination class. Like suppose we have like any kind class like next, then we used to write next dot class. Yes or no? But here, if you can see, we have neither written the starting position and neither we have mentioned the ending position. Okay. What we have done is we have just called a path, or you can say we have just provided the path of the image. Okay, the camera. Okay. So this is a predefined, you can say a predefined command which helps us to open the camera. Okay. So what will happen? This intent will directly link with this command and will open up the camera. Okay. And once okay, by this command actually the camera doesn't open. The camera actually opened with the help of this command. Okay. This command, what it does, it sets the location, means wherever the camera implicit coding will be there, that all is loaded somewhere and that is stored in this intent reference variable. Okay. And with the help of the command start activity for result, last time we used the command start activity, but as you know, this time we are going to get some result also. So for that purpose, we have called the function start activity for result. So whenever you want to get some result from the suppose I'm going to some page and I will be coming back and that page will be giving me some result. For that kind of cases, what you will do, you will call the function start activity for result. Keep that in mind. Okay. Now, if you look here carefully, the start activity for result, there what I have done, I have passed the intent. Okay. And this request code is also sent. This request code is just to it is acting like a flag, like whatever I am passing here, that the same code will be sent back to me, so that it will guarantee that whichever function has called it, that same function has received the same flag, and it may guarantee that the correct output has been sent. Okay. So what will happen? Once this function is executed, it will open up this camera, and that camera will be having the anchor view where you will find the button and all. And when you will click the button, it will capture the image and send back the code. Will send back the code to the function on activity result. Keep that in mind, guys. Okay, where it will send? It will send back the code to the on activity result. Where it will send? It will send to this intent. Okay. So with this, what we have understood is that if we want any kind of implicit work, in that case, we have to first of all find out what is the specific command to open up. Okay. Like for camera, this is fixed one. If you want to open camera, you have to call this command, and this command will open up the camera. Okay. Now, if you can see properly, what this function is doing, this function is accepting all the values. That is, like, it is getting the request code. It is getting also the result code. What is this result code actually? Suppose camera has opened up and whatever image has been captured, that process is not successful. Suppose it may happen. Like suppose you try to capture a camera and camera was not working, and so the image is not properly captured. So whatever output you are getting, whether that output is present inside this data variable. So whether the output is successfully captured or not. So this result code will be telling us about that. So if you will try to print it, you will get 1 here. Why I will get 1 here? Because if successfully you are getting the image, you will get 1. If successfully, suppose there is some kind of problem and the image was not captured properly, you will get 0. Okay. So that is actually your result code. Okay. So once you have got all the information, what you will do? You will call the function. There's one you will call what? You will call a class that is called bitmap. Okay. So what is actually bitmap? I have even written a definition for that. A bitmap is an array of binary data representing the value of pixels of an image. Okay. So whatever image was captured there, in reality, that image is actually it's actually a matrix. Okay. The image is actually a matrix, and inside that matrix, if it is a color image, it is a 3D matrix. Okay. It's a 3-dimensional matrix. and inside that three-dimensional matrix, in every point you will find some pixel value. Okay, if you will get some time in future to study image processing and all, there you will come to know about the matrix and all. Okay, so images are matrix, and especially colored ones are 3D matrix, and every value present in that matrix is a pixel. Okay, so in order to read this pixel, there is a command called, there is a function, or you can say there is a class called bitmap. Okay, so what this bitmap will be doing, it will be able to take the help from the variable, or you can say the command get, and grab all the information from this data and prepare your image. Okay, so it will grab all the pixels. Okay, it will grab all the pixels and it will prepare your image. Okay, and then with the help of command set image bitmap, what you can do, you can set your image on the image view. Okay, so with the help of just two commands, what I can do, I can grab the information about all the pixels, prepare my image, and I will call the function IV, and I will set my image. Okay, so it was a very simple project, and if you just use it, you will also understand a lot. So even if you can, if you want, you can write some if conditions here, like if the result code is 1, then only this should occur. Yes or no, guys? This you have to keep in mind. If suppose the result code is 0, what will be set in the image view? I cannot guarantee what will be setting there. So as per the demand of your project, what you will do, you can write a if condition and set set your image view. Okay. So sometimes if you search this code in internet, somewhere you will find the if condition is also present there. Okay. So that if condition guarantees that whatever image is coming, that is a correct image, and that correct image can be set inside the image view. Okay, so let's see how what kind of output will be there. So I'll quickly switch to my smartphone and I'll show you the output. Okay, guys. So I'll now switch to my smartphone. Okay, just have a look here. So if you can see, I hope now you'll be able to see. I'm going to switch it. Just a second. I hope now my screen will be visible, and I'm going to open the app, that is your camera app. So if you can see here, there is a button capture there, and as image view is a blank image view, so it's not visible actually. So as soon as I will click on the camera, what will happen? You will be able to see. I don't know, you will be able to see, but I hope you can see that camera has opened up. Yes or no, guys? I hope you are able to see. You can see my laptop, you can see my laptop screen. Yes or no, guys? You can see. So suppose this only, if I take the pic, suppose I'm taking the pic of this one. Okay, just have a look. Suppose I've taken this. I have clicked the front end, I have clicked the button, and that image is captured now, as you can see. Now I'm moving my camera, but you can see there I have got two buttons also. One is cross and one is tick. The cross is telling that you can discard this image, and again you can tick, you can discard the image and take the next image. Okay. Okay, guys. And if I make a tick mark, what will happen? Look carefully. If I make a tick mark, that image will be set in my image view. So you can see, guys. So that image is now set in my image view. Okay. So that was all about that simple two-line code, which will be capturing the image, and it will be setting on the image view. Okay. So I hope you got little bit idea regarding how to use camera and how you can bring the image inside your, how you can bring that app, that image inside your image view. Okay. So you can again investigate this part and try to understand how, try to elaborate and see, how you can go for more good projects regarding this. Okay. I'll switch back to my screen. And let's now move to the next project. So this will be again a simple one. Let's see. Now I'll explain you a very simple project, which is basically using this feature. this actually what TTS means, text to speech. Okay, so we'll see a very interesting project that is text to speech. Means you will write some text and that text will get converted into speech. A very simple project. So in order to understand this one, let's see what we should do. So this, as this project is again a very simple one, I'll quickly open that project. I'll just show you. So for this project, what actually we will require is, we'll require one edit text, and inside that edit text only, we will insert the information, and I'll take one button also. Okay, so when I'll click on that button will display some by pressing that button, whatever text will be written there, that will be displayed. That will be spoken by your smartphone. That you have to understand. So before moving to the back end, let me show you something very important. Like one of your friend asked me regarding image button. I remember one of your friend asked me regarding image button. So I'll elaborate that part also here. So as you can see, this is your edit text. I don't have to explain anything in this part. I have taken some hint and I have written here. And this is what, so few of you might be understanding is as image view. Yes or no? But let me just click it and show you what is this. So I'm going to click it. And if you can see properly, what is this? So basically it is an image button. Means you can place some icon here. Okay. And when you can even use as a button also, and you can use this to I mean prepare some good games also. I mean today by the end of the class, I will show you that how you can create some interesting games. Already you won't have played those simple games, but if you could have made those games by yourself, it will really be very interesting. And what to say basically is that your coding concept will improve a lot. Okay, so let's see how you can use the image button. So in order to create image button, you don't have to do anything. You just drag image button. If you don't know where it is, there is a search button. You can just type here image and you will get the options as image view and image button. Okay, so it's up to you, whatever way you want, you can do it. Okay, or you can just search from this place. Like if I click on buttons, there are variety of buttons available. See, this part I have not come because we didn't got the time for this part, but there are actually many things which has to be taught, but because of the lack of time, I'm not able to teach everything. But it will be good thing that if you can come here and do the projects. Okay, so what I will be doing is I'll show you some good apps where these things are used. Okay, and I will even tell you, I'll give you some links. Already you might be aware that whatever I'm teaching, all the codes I'm giving you in the Google Drive. Okay, in that only, I mean by today or maybe by tomorrow, I will drop few links from where you can continue your learning and you can do good projects as well. Okay, so you can use these things also. So I was trying to show you from where you can get the image button actually. So I will just drag and drop and I'll set the constraint and all, and it will be okay. Okay, so what I have done is in this project, along with text to speech, I will do one more thing, that is I will set the image button also. Okay, so how we can do it? So the process is same. As you set the image on the image view, you can use the same concept and set the image on the image view. So you can see in the drawable, I have taken some images. Okay, and if you go at the backend code, and if you open the Java file, you can see I have used the command set image resource r.drawable. Okay, I use the same command. So with the help of this command, I have set an image on the button. Okay, so you can use the same command which can help you to set the button. Also, if you want to create some icons, you can create some icon here, and then you can call r.bitmap, and you can just use that also. Okay, that also is possible. Okay, guys. So now let's move to the text to speech coding section, and let's see. It's again a very simple project. The basic codes I have written here, like I have created the image button, Okay, and I have linked my all the variables, all the components which I have used here. And in the text to speech, there is a very simple code, as you all can see here. The code is very simple. Just have a look, guys. So basically what we have to do is we have to call a class, and the class name is text to speech. Okay, guys, so this is the most important part. So what we will do, we'll call a class that is called text to speech. This class manages the property of converting text to speech. How it is doing, let's see. So basically only one thing we have to do is you first of all create the object of the text to speech class. Okay, and while creating, you have to set one important thing, that is the language. Okay, so generally all the languages are not available. Let me see, let me show you which all languages are available. Especially the Hindi language is not available, but you can see which all languages are available. So if I just press Control plus space, I'll be able to show you all the languages available. Okay, so if you look carefully, the languages which are available is visible to you. So French, German, Italian, Japanese language, Korean language. So these languages are available. Okay, till now all the languages has not come up. It will take some time, but I'm sure in coming years we will get almost all the languages. So I have set the language as English. As you know, this is the easiest. This is the one language which we can understand. And as you know, this is a button. So for this button, I have created a function called convert. Okay, so you can see here there's a function called convert here, and that function I have called here. Okay, so only one function is required, that will be enough. And that function is, first of all, I've just grabbed the data from the text view, edit text. You can see this command is already familiar to everyone. So with this, I have got the text inside the text in the form of what? String. Keep that in mind. Whenever you grab anything from edit text, that is always in the string format. So that I have grabbed. Okay. Now, one command which we have to call, that is your speak command. Okay. And we have to pass only one parameter. Other parameters are not at all required also. Okay. This all parameters are for some other purposes. Like suppose you want to like whatever speech is present, you want to have some editing in that, like you want to make it fast or slow or whatever you want. So many more features can be implemented. Okay, so those things if you want, you can just set here and that can be done. Okay, but for time being, we'll just pass the string and we want our app to speak it out. That's it. Okay, so in the first parameter, you'll pass the string and the function call will be done and it will just speak it out. Okay. So it's a very simple project, and if you just, I'll just show you also the app, and if possible, and if this GoToMeeting is supporting the audio, I hope you will be able to even hear the audio. Okay, so let me just first of all open the app and show you. So I'm just switching back to my mobile phone, and I hope now you might be seeing my screen, and I'm now opening up the app. Okay, so yeah, you can see now. So this app has opened up. This is not image view. I'm telling again, this is your image button, and on this I have set an icon. Okay, so it's up to you. If you want, you can set an icon. If you want, you can set an image. It's up to you. So if I just write some code here, so let it be hello students. Okay, now if I just press the button, you can see here there's a button here. So if I will press the button, it will speak both words. So let's see. I don't know whether it is audible to you. I hope it's audible to everyone. Can someone confirm me whether it is audible? Is it audible, guys? I hope it's audible. If it is audible, then that is good. Otherwise, if you try to implement yourself, you will understand whether it is audible or not. Okay. I hope it will be audible to everyone. Okay, guys. So you can check it yourself. I'll give the code, give it a try, and I'm sure that it will be audible to you when you are creating your project yourself. Okay. Now I'll move to the next project, which is again a simple one. Okay. Let's see. So again, the next one is a simple one, that is that's alert box. Okay, this one is it will be little bit the code is little bit complex, but it's not that complex. And as you know that we have been using this kind of concepts many times, but you all are not aware of actually. So when this kind of concept you might have seen, suppose whenever you are trying to close your app, and suppose the app is processing something, so it will be better that that processing part has to be completed, and then only the app should be closed. Yes or no? I think this idea should be there in the app. Otherwise, what will happen? There will be the loss of data. So the app, when it is going to close, that it should give you a prompt that whether you are really interested to close the app or not. This feature you might have seen in many apps. Okay. So the prompt which you are getting, that is called alert dialog. Okay. So let's see how this alert dialog will come up. Okay. So I have created a very simple project in order to make you understand this. And it's again a simple project. Let's have a look. So if you can see, it's a very simple one. So if you look at the front end design, first of all, and let's close the last project. I'll close the text to speech so that the memory can be released. So what I have done in the front end design, I've just taken one button, and when I click this button, I will just create an alert. Okay. So let's see how we can do that. So front end is very simple. Just create a button. That's it. Okay. And when you create this button, what I have done is I have created a function that is called the function is show alert. You can see here. I created a function called show alert. So inside this function only, you will find every code. So I'll just show you also on top. Nothing is there. Okay. So the code is very simple. If you look carefully, you will understand. So in order to understand, it will be best if I can show you the alert box first of all, and then I'll come back to the code. Why I am saying that, as I have to make you understand some code, and if you have some idea, some imagination in your mind, then you can understand better. Okay. So just wait a bit. Let me switch directly to the app and show you what really is going on inside the app. Okay. So I'll take just a second and I'll switch. So now I hope my screen is visible to you all, and my app is also visible to you all. Yes. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click this button. So as soon as I'll click this button, just observe that alert dialog box which comes up. So I hope you are able to see now. And this kind of dialog box you might have seen many times. Yes or no, guys? So at this point of time, I will request everyone to take a screenshot and keep it with yourself, so that when I'm explaining the backend code, you should understand. Why I'm saying? Because this complete alert box which has come up has three components. First one, can you see it's written there alert on top? So that is just the name, okay, name of the alert. Whatever you want, you can put it there. Haha, hello, hello, how are you? Whatever you want, you can put there. Second is your message. What message you want to give? Okay. First you put the name and what kind of message you want to give. So do you want to close this app? I've given the message. Okay. And below that, inside this alert box itself, there are two more subsections which are actually acting as buttons. Okay. And whatever you are seeing here, yes and no, that is again user defined. Whatever you want, you can write here. Okay. So again, that is important. So whatever we have, I have given a simple answer, that is yes and no. And when you click this button, you can perform some task. Now it's up to you what task you want to perform. Okay. So as you can see here, when I'm clicking on no, the app remains same, and just that alert box get dismissed. Yes or no? And if I again click on the button, and if I click on the yes this time, what will happen? You look carefully. What happened? If you would have understood, I'm sure you have got the idea that actually the app got closed. Means I might have called the finish function. Getting my point, guys? Okay. So that, and you are right. And if you have guessed that, then you're really right. So for the button no, I have just done nothing. I have just dismissed my alert box. And when I click yes, I have called the finish function, which is canceling, or you can say it is closing my app. Okay. So let's quickly switch to the front-end design. On my computer, and let me show the code. Okay, so I'll look here. So now, if you can see, and I'm going to expand also because the code is little bit big, and that's why I'm not expanding, so that you may just be feeling some difficulty in understanding. Okay, so if you just observe whatever I'll show you, then you will understand everything. Okay, so I'll use different colors in order to show you. Okay. So first of all, what I have called a alert dialog. What I've done, I have called a inner class that's called builder. Okay, and I have created the object of that one. Can you see, guys? So this alert dialog builder class, what it is doing, it is creating the outer box of the alert. Okay, I hope you're getting my point. So the outer, you can say the external boundary with all those things, whatever you are seeing here. So this rectangular the rectangular object which you have seen in the project just now, that is created by the alert dialog builder class. Okay, keep that in mind. And then it is calling a message, it is calling a function that is called set message. And with the help of this message, can you see this message? Do you want to close this app? And I hope you might have be remembering where it was. And if you have guessed, then you are right. It was present here somewhere. Yes. So this was the place where the message was there. Yes or no, guys? So this set message, what it will do, whatever message you will pass here, that will be present here at this point. Okay, guys. And if you can see, I have made it set cancelable false. Now this is really very important. Why I am saying, because if I set it to true, it will have different impact. If I make it false, that has different impact. Okay, guys. So let's see how the impact takes place. So if I am setting it to false, what will happen? You know that this dialog box has come up inside your smartphone. So if I set it to true, and if you click at this place, this dialog box will automatically go away. Okay. And if you set it false, if you click anywhere, nothing will happen. Am I clear, guys? It means you have to select these buttons only. No other option will be there. If you will not select these two buttons, this will be just popped up, and you have to close your smartphone. Then only this app will be closed. Okay, or you have to minimize it with the help of the buttons which are at the bottom side. But along with that, okay. So this that is actually explained by this set cancelable part. Okay, guys. Okay, I'm redrawing it, and so here is the message, and it is set to set cancelable false, so that I cannot. If I click anywhere, nothing should happen. Okay. Now below that, if you can see, okay, I've used a pipelining concept where one function is pipeline to other function. Okay, you can do that also. We have used also like integer dot parsing dot toString, those, if you remember, get text dot toString. Okay, so you can pipeline more than one function with the help of dot command. Okay, so you can see here, first I've used dot here, and then I have used a dot here also. So the two buttons which you have seen here, so these two buttons will be clickable and executable only when you call these two functions. Okay, what is that? Set positive function, which is pointing to this one. set negative function that's pointing to this one. Okay. Now, if I click on this button, what will happen? If I write the code for this one, what will happen? You can see there. First of all, what you have to do is you have to write first of all the name of the button. You can write here yes, no, whatever you want. You can write click me. It's up to you what you want to write. And then you have to call a class that is called dialog interface, and inside there will be a listener. Now, what is the job of this listener? The job of this listener is to call this onClick function. Okay. So when you are pressing this button, actually what happens? This listener is called, and this listener directly calls the function onClick. And what this onClick is doing, it is calling the function. It is executing all the contents written inside, and here I have written just one command that is finished. So what will happen? My app will be minimized. Okay, it will be destroyed. You can say it will send to the garbage collector for cleaning. Same thing I have done with the second button, that is I've written here no, and here I have just called the function dialog.cancel. Okay, and that's why what will happen? Only the dialog will be cancelled. It will, and you will get the app once more. We will find that button of which we have created. That button will be visible to you. Okay, so by writing this much code, what we are actually doing, we are creating our content from here to here. When you write, what basically you are doing, you are creating the complete context for the alert dialog. Okay, and by writing this command, what you are doing, you are creating it. Okay, here you have created everything, but that will not be visible. It will be visible only when you write this command. Okay, and this command is up to you. When you can write on top also, or it's why I'm writing here, just because after creating you can write here. You can write at the back also, it doesn't matter. Okay, so it's better that you should write here only, because this is associated with the alert dialog. Okay, and this all will be visible to you once you call the function alert.show. Okay, so if you don't call the function show, everything will be there, but it won't be visible. Keep that in mind. I have been in a frustrated situation sometimes, and I missed this command show, and I was worrying what has happened. I missed this command, and I was not understanding where I have made the mistake, because of this you won't get any kind of error and all. Okay, only what will happen is your alert dialog box will be created, but it won't be visible. So you will have to search properly what actually has happened. So what actually has happened, you have not called the function show here. Okay, so please keep that in mind. This command is really very, very important. It's a triggering command. If you don't call this, whatever you have done, that won't be visible to you. Okay, so I hope this also was clear to everyone. Okay, if you have not understood, it will be best you study about alert dialog, and these things, once you give a try, you try to have a Google search, you will understand it. It's not that tough. It's very simple. Okay, just give a try, guys, yourself. You will understand. Okay, now let's move to the next project, and I hope that will be the last one for today. And that is a simple one, that is web view. So let's understand about web view. This is just a pretty simple one, and I'm just trying to show you that suppose in your app somewhere you want to show your browser. Suppose you want to do that. So how you can use the web view? This topic is a bit complex. I will not go in detail. The reason is you will have to set, if you are supposed, instead of web, like suppose I'm trying to create my own web view, and if you use some buttons and all, what actually you will have to do is you have to make some settings as well. Okay, and that settings are a little bit complicated, so I won't be making it a bit complicated. If you are interested, try yourself. It's not that tough, it's simple, but at this point of time it will be difficult for you. Okay, so once you have done many projects and all, and you are pretty acquainted with Android Studio, then I will suggest that you try this. Okay, you try it in a full form, and if you want, you can try this way. Like you can create, I'm giving you the question actually. So what you can do is you can create your own web view like this. You create a edit text, you put a button here, whatever searching you will write here, whatever content like google.com, whatever you write here, you can write here, and when you press this button, here will be your web view, and you will be able to show that here. Means you have created your personal browser kind of. Okay, so if you're interested, give a try. Okay guys. Okay, so I hope you can do it yourself. Give a try guys, I hope you can do it. So let's see how we can do that. It's very simple. So I'll just show you. Just a second. So yeah, it's a simple one. Let me show you. Okay. And there's one more reason why I'm showing you this web view, because till now regarding the manifest file, I have not explained you one important concept, which is really very, very important. That is how you can set the permissions. Let me make you understand what I am trying to say. So if you look carefully here, this is your web view, which I have set in the complete screen. Okay, guys. Now everything will be okay. You have written the backend code, everything is okay. But you know that if there is no internet permission given to your app, it will not work. I hope you are getting what I'm trying to say. Okay, means if you want your app to use internet, you will have to pass some permission. Okay, so that permission settings and all is done inside the Android manifest file. Okay, so how to set the permission? Please look at this command. Okay, so the command is very simple. I'll show you, and I'll also show you all the permissions as well. So if you look here, I'll write one more code here, and I'll show you what kind of permissions are available to you. So you will directly write uses, and you will use this one, uses permission. And you can see here, you have many permissions. Okay, like if you want to use media location, you want to use, when you will be creating Google Map concepts and all, you have to use this course location, find location, this kind of. Okay, and if you can see here, like many thing is there, many things. Like, I mean, it's really, it will take a big time to make you understand all of them. Okay, so you can see how many permissions are there. And these all permissions we have to write in the manifest itself. Like suppose if you want to create a Bluetooth based something, you have to give the permission of the Bluetooth for your app. Then only it will be able to use that part of thing. Okay. So many permissions are there. Okay. So out of all these permissions, what I have done, I have taken the simplest one just to show you, and that is your internet permission. Okay. And that only I have written here. So that was a simple one, and I hope you got my point. So permissions are really very important thing. It seems, just a second, guys. There's the issue. I think my laptop has hanged. Just a second. Let me see, guys. I think I have to restart. I'll wait a bit because, as you know, though it is 8 GB RAM, but yeah, okay. It generally sometimes it hangs because many things are open now. That's why. So it happens sometimes. Okay, so I'll quickly delete this part. Okay, so let's see in the backend code. The code is very simple. I'm not going to keep a long code. It's very simple. Create the variable. Second step is link it, and third is to use it. So in order to use, there is a command called load URL. Okay, so you can use the command load URL, and inside the text part, you will just pass whatever link you want, you can pass it here. Okay, even with the help of this, what you can do, you can create an HTML page and you can pass it. Okay, guys. So if you want, you can create. I have just commented it. It's up to you. You can check it yourself. See, you can see here I've created a small. You can see here what is that? It's a simple HTML page where I'm trying to print hello future developers under the body and under the heading. You can see here, and I've just called one more function that is called load data. So if you have prepared your own HTML page, you have to call the function load data, and you have to pass the formatting as well, like text/HTML and the coding, in what coding format the data has to pass, the HTML code has to pass. So if you have the idea of HTML coding, you might be aware of UTF-8, this is the coding method. Okay, so I'll not waste a lot of time in this part. Just a simple thing I'm showing you, that is, if you want to use WebView and you want to show some URL, the best thing will be you use the command load URL. Okay, with this command you can show what the web page, whichever is present there, will be visible on your WebView. Okay, so let's see how we can show, I mean, how it can be shown to you. I'll just open the app and I'll show you. Just wait a bit. So it's again a very simple project. If you will try yourself, you will be able to see. Okay, so let me try. So I'll run the project and I'll show you. So have a look, guys. So I connected my mobile with the laptop, and I'll have to choose my mobile phone and I'll just run the project and I'll show you. So as it is a simple project, you can see it will take some time to run. And now the time has come up to show you some good projects. Okay, guys, so be ready. I'll show you some interesting projects, and that will be your homework actually. So whatever you have learned here, that all you have to just try yourself at that in those projects. Okay, so it's time to, now my app has been installed. I'll now move from my smartphone, my laptop, to monitor, I mean my mobile, and let me show you. Okay, just have a look. So if you can see, the app has opened up, and you can see now, yeah, the app is opening and it is loading, and you can see google.com has come up. So this is inside your app only. How I'm understanding, on top you can see the name of the app is written there, WebView Basics. Yes or no? So this is present in your app only. Okay, guys. It was a simple understanding of WebView. Okay. Now let's move to the next project. And now what I will do, I'll close my Android Studio, and I would like to show you one interesting thing. So all of you, just, it's going to end, and I want you all to just have a look. So I'll just close the Android Studio. The reason is the RAM issues. If I will open that, it may create some issues if the Android Studio is open, because both are heavy softwares. So if you have a good RAM, you can install one software, and that software name I'll just write in the text box here in this place, or if you can look here, that is BlueStacks. If you know, that is very good. If you don't know, then you can write it down, BlueStacks. Okay, so here the benefit is that you can run your app and show in your smartphone, in your computer only. Okay, I'll just show you how you can do that. So I have installed some project in that also. I'll just show you. I'm going to click the one project. I'll just show you. So it will take some time to load. Or if you observe carefully, it will take some time to load. And once it is loaded, I'll show you two very interesting projects which you can do by the whatever learning we have done here. Based on all those learning, you can complete that project. So we'll wait for few moments because it may take some time to load. Okay, guys, let me see whether it has loaded. Yeah, it's taking some time. Yeah, it will take some time, but yeah, you can see now it has started loading. So we wait for a few minutes. Maybe like it will take 40 seconds to load. Okay, so let's wait for a bit. So you all can install BlueStacks, and if required, if you want BlueStacks software, you can tell me. I'll give you the link of this. Okay, you can request to the organizer, then through them I'll pass you the link of the BlueStacks. Okay, you can download from there and you can use it. So this I will prefer only when you have good RAM. Like generally, if you have 8 GB RAM and If many things are installed, then it will be difficult to run everything. Okay, guys. So this BlueStacks is really very heavy software, and Android Studio is also a heavy software. So if you try to run both of them, you may face the hanging issues. Okay, so please don't try to use both of them together. Otherwise, nothing will happen to your system, but it will hang a lot. Okay, so try to use one of them at a time. There's some more seconds are left. Once that time is over, you will see a beautiful screen where the app will be shown. Okay, just wait for some seconds, some more seconds. In the meantime, I can say that we have covered a very beautiful week where I tried my best to give you ideas on different kinds of projects, which will be which will be little a basic one, but interesting one. Okay, so now it has loaded up. Let's see. I'm not interested in this project. I'm interested in some other project. I'll show you. So you can see many projects I have loaded here, but two to three projects I would like to show you. Okay. So the first one is the most interesting one that I'll show you is, you can see here. So this is a very interesting project where you can see that a progress bar has been set here, and there is a continue button. If I click on this button, it will load up the app. So I request everyone to just zoom and see what is visible, what is shown to you. I hope when you will zoom, you will understand there are, can you guess what are these colorful things? These are actually buttons. Okay, so don't guess a lot. These all are buttons. Okay, and on buttons, I have set the numbers. Okay, one new concept has been implemented here, that is the concept of timer here. Okay, and a button is there that will show the result. Okay, so as soon as I will let me tell you how you can play this game. So this game is very simple. You have to actually click on the numbers in the ascending order, and you have to count till the last number which is shown here. Okay, so as soon as you click on the first number, the timer will start, and you have to count it as fast as possible. Like, let me see how much time I will take. 1, 2, 3. It's difficult to do it on laptop. 4. I hope you're getting my point, guys. Where is 5, guys? 5, 6. I don't know where is 7. So 7, 8. So you can see the numbers are getting updated up. Yes or no? So if you keep on doing, where is 11? I don't know. So I mean, this you have to do. So I'll just reset it. I don't want to play it. So if you reset, it will restart. And the numbers which is coming here, it's all random. Okay. So the actual game is what? You have to play it till the last number, whichever is coming. And that last number is, in this project, I have set to 50. So you will quickly count from 1 to 50. And once you reach 50, till that time, that timer will move on. It will give you a value. So if you have done it very fastly, means you have a good observation that you can find the numbers very soon, and you can predict where it is, and you can move your fingers. Means you are a very accurate kind of person. I mean, it gives some predictions kind of, you can say like that. Okay, so try to make that kind of okay, so that predictions you can set by yourself. Like suppose if a person is able to click 1 to 50 in just 20 seconds, let it be. So you can say he has a very good eye. He can look very carefully. You can give some prediction. Like someone has taken like 5 minutes in order to complete the project. You can understand he's a slow person. Yes or no? So you can use any of those logics by yourself. Okay, and prepare this project. Okay. So I request everyone to give it a try. Now let's move to some other project, and let's see how we can do it. So it's again, I'll just zoom it so that it will be easy for me to show every project. Okay. Now I'm just minimizing it. Just a second, guys. It's taking just a second. I'm going back. I'm coming to clicking on here. You can see they have used the dialog box also. Okay, I'm clicking yes, and I'll show you one more app. It's again an interesting one. That is Game 2. That is, this is match the following app. Here, what you have to do is you have to observe first. I will first of all, let's play the game. So it will load up. It will show you some images. Okay, and you have to remember which image is present in which side. And it will give you very less time. You have to remember which image was present this side. So it will be easy. I'll just move back and show you. So here you have how many, like you can see, like 8 images are here, and that 8 images are randomly distributed here. Okay, so you can use the concept of splash screen here. So this time, this image for, let it be 1 second, 2 second, 4 second. It's up to you. You have to decide how much time will be best. Okay, and once this has been shown, you can play the game. Let's now play the game once. Let's see. So you can see a smaller version also I have made of this. So suppose this is the image, and if I play it once, let's see. So this image is here, where it's here. So suppose I was able to remember only one. So if I click on this, the image will be visible to me, and if I click here, I will get a score by 1, and they will convert into green. Okay. So similarly, you can play, you can make clicks, and you can set the rules as per see. If the answer is wrong, then it will again become question mark, and the score will be reduced by 1. Okay. So it's up to you. So you can make your own rules and regulations. You can set it here, and you can play it. Okay. So see, though the app is very simple, but if you try yourself and make this kind of small apps, I'm sure you will understand a lot. Okay, why I'm saying, because though these projects are simple, but if you go for coding of these projects, I'm sure you will find difficulty, and it will be challenging for you. And I'm sure once you have done, you will really feel a little bit confident that you have really completed a good project. Okay, so with this theme, I have given you these 2 questions. Give a try, guys. All the best from my side, and it will be wonderful if we can meet once more and try some advanced projects in future. Okay, so thank you guys once more. This is all from my side. Signing off, guys. Thank you, everyone.